one of the most fulfilling moments since my campaign began to be welcomed so warmly by leaders of our Malay community. As you know, the biggest challenge of my campaign has been to make myself known to as many people in Singapore as possible. So I've concentrated a lot of my energy on social media, going to the wet markets, going to the hawker centers. And today I'm welcomed by leaders of Taman Bacaan, a particularly important organization because it is concerned with the vulnerability of Malay youths. Vulnerability to radicalization, vulnerability to addiction. So I can empathize with how the Malay community feels that we have to give attention to try to minimize this challenge of radicalization and addiction because it is such a waste of the potential of these young people. And imagine how different Singapore society will be if we can help these Malay youths not to get into this vicious circle of isolation, of hopelessness, so that they can go to school, stay in school, get a job, stay in the workforce, so that they can contribute to Singapore society and so that they will not be left behind as Singapore makes progress. So today, I had the benefit of listening to the leaders of the community share with me their aspirations, their ideas of how, when I become president, I can be of help. So I feel very grateful to Taman Bacaan, the leadership of Mr. Halim, for showing me so much kindness today. It is the kind of kindness that I wish to see being developed and strengthened in our multiracial society. So thank you.
Mr. Ng, are there other community organizations you plan to visit in the next few days?
Yes, I've visited quite a number of community organizations. I hope to visit a few more. They are being lined up. So I hope to go and visit, for example, one of the Buddhist organizations that has not been finalized. But yes, I would like to have that opportunity over the next 8 days of that's left for campaigning.
Mr. Why do you choose the MMO as your first community stop? Why do you choose the Malay community as the first community stop visit?
Because they were the first to invite me, you know, and so I grabbed the opportunity. It was a spontaneous gesture on their part. As you heard Mr. Salim say, it did not take them long. It was an instant decision. So sometimes you feel very grateful to people who not only help you, but help you immediately.
Mr. Ng, how has the support been from the Malay Muslim community thus far? Because I understand that you've gone to the walkabout before this and also Taman Bacaan.
Yes. So I met with a very, very warm reception when I toured Geylang Serai Market, at the beginning of my campaign. And as I said just now, one of the things that really touched me was when I was assembling my team of assenters, and three members of the Muslim community, no less, three of them, Mr. Saleh, Mr. Amir, and Mr. Hamid. They came forth at the very beginning, and they gave me a tremendous lift to my morale, and my confidence, that I will be able to secure a good measure of support from the Malay community.
Mr. Ang, you spoke about just now conversing with people in Malay, but so far for most of your campaign, including on socials, has been in English. So how do you plan to get votes from the non-English speakers?
Sadly, I have not been able to communicate enough in Mandarin or in Malay. It is one of the deepest regrets of my life that I want to put right, whether I win the presidential election or not. Sometimes life is like that because I got so many things to do and didn't really have the time to devote to what I think is extremely important, particularly when you want to communicate your ideas, your feelings to people. So I hope the Singaporeans will understand and will forgive me, but I'll do my very best. I can speak Teochew quite well, yeah, and I do. So just because I cannot communicate in words, I hope to communicate by heart.
So previously you mentioned that you are being like the underdog or underrated, right, in this three-man race in the presidential election. So there are also political observers that think that this election might be a competition between Mr. Taman and Mr. Tan. So what are your views on this?
This is a decision for the people of Singapore. What matters to me is that I've come forward so that there is now an election. I was primarily concerned that there would have been a walkover. But by me coming forward, now we are going to have an election. So that is the most important contribution that I have made to honor the office of the president. The next thing that I hope is that I will win the election, but that is a decision of the people of Singapore.
Mr. Ng, just now during the roundtable, you talked about two issues: the issues of cat ownership in HDB flats and also about the transportation of foreign workers on lorries. And you did mention that you believe that maybe the government is perhaps moving a bit too slowly on these issues. And you said you look into it if you were elected as a president. But realistically, how much soft power, quote unquote, would you have to make any difference in these two issues if elected?
Yeah, I mean, you see, these are issues which concern a large section of Singaporeans. For Singaporeans to express their views. So these concerns must be listened to. So what can the president do? The president cannot make policies. The president cannot make, social policies. The president cannot make policies in regard to whether cats are allowed in HDB flats. But the president has a platform. And I want to see what I can contribute. Not to make policies, but hopefully to influence some of these issues which are the concern of many Singaporeans. Because my underlying feeling about these two issues, migrant workers, pets, they are part of how Singapore should become a kinder, more caring society.
Mr. Ng, on the issue of migrant workers' transport, how are you looking to influence that change?
First of all, by speaking strongly about it. So that, I'm voicing what I think is the legitimate concern on the part of Singaporeans.
So how important is the support from the minority communities in your campaign and your matchup against Mr. Taman and Mr. Tan?
Support from the
From
Malay.
minority communities.
Well, I think here we run the danger of saying support from the Malay community, support from the Indian community, support from the Chinese community. We should rise above that. We are one country, one people, And so I hope to have a common message to people of our various communities. So I do not want to appeal to just one particular racial community.
Mr. Ng, in an earlier doorstop, you mentioned that it's been a struggle or a challenge to get across to the public-related associations in your visits along the campaign. So you've only reached out to the private associations. Has that changed in any way?
Do you consider Taman Bacaan as a private or a public organization?
Somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. So I think that today I feel so happy, that there is a change, a positive change, where I'm being welcomed so warmly, and for the discussion to go on for so long and with a lot of interest, that made me feel very happy, So I'm slowly overcoming, you might say, the disadvantage of not being a government-endorsed candidate.